How's it going, everybody? Daner here with North Central Coins, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the most rare and valuable coins in Canada. Today we're going to be diving into a fascinating piece of Canadian numismatic history, the 1967 rotated die Goose dollar. For those who may not be familiar or well versed in Canadian coinage, 1967 marked Canada's centennial, and to celebrate, special designs were issued for all of the different coin denominations. The $1 coin, or silver dollar, featured a striking image of a Canada goose in flight, which was designed by renowned Canadian artist Alex Colville. He was commissioned to create the reverse designs for the entire 1967 Centennial coinage series. Each of the different designs by Alex Colville captured the essence of Canadian wildlife, and the Canadian goose became an iconic symbol on the dollar coin. Now, little known to most, there are 3 different errors or varieties that you can actually look for on these silver goose dollars, the most well-known being the rotated die diving goose dollar. This error occurred when the dies used to strike the coin were misaligned, resulting in a noticeable rotation of the image on one side compared to the other. Depending on the degree of rotation, these error coins can fetch significant prices, with more extreme rotations being worth some buku amounts of money. In today's video, we'll explore the historical context surrounding the production of this rare silver goose dollar, how to identify a rotated die error example, and its potential value if you happen to stumble upon one of these in your collection or in a scrap silver purchase. Before we do get into this, I would really appreciate if you guys would smash that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and also ring that bell notification so you can stay up to date with my new videos as they are being released. And make sure to stay to the end of the video if you would like to find out just how much you can get for one of these coins if you are lucky enough to find one. Also, if you're into exploring unique finds beyond the world of coins, you should check out my other channel, North Central Builds, where I open and build some of the most distinctive and budget-friendly LEGO sets from over the years. So if you're into discovering some super cool, obscure LEGO builds that you won't find on any other channel, then be sure to give it a little look-see. I will leave a link in the description. But without any further ado, what do you say we get right into it and discuss the Canadian 1967 rotated die diving goose dollar? Let's get it, guys. In the year 1967, Canada celebrated its 100th anniversary of the Confederation with a special set of commemorative coins, one of the most iconic being the $1 silver coin, featuring a soaring Canada goose design. This coin was part of a nationwide design competition. This competition was launched in 1964 by the Canadian Minister of Finance, offering a $2,500 prize for each winning design across each of the different 6 coin denominations. The competition attracted entries from Canadian artists, and the reverse designs were created by renowned artist Alex Colville, while the obverse showcasing Queen Elizabeth II is designed by Arnold Maughan. Alex Colville's Canada Goose design for the silver dollar was chosen for its majestic presence, symbolizing both the vastness of the country and the dynamic nature of its wildlife. The Canada Goose, as one of Canada's most recognized and majestic creatures, was a fitting representation for the dollar coin. The 1967 coins also marked a transitional period for Canadian currency, with some being minted in 80% silver and others being minted in 50%, as the country shifted away from using high silver content in its coin production. It is important to note that the composition change in 1967 only happened for the dimes and quarters. The half dollars and silver dollars were still all produced in 80% silver in the year 1967. Beyond their beautiful design and their historical significance, the 1967 silver dollar is most famous for a specific minting error, the rotated die error, where some coins feature a diving goose due to a 45-degree rotation. The most valuable version of this error is the 180-degree coin alignment error, with high-grade examples of this piece being worth tens of thousands of dollars today. A rotated die error occurs when the design on one side of a coin does not align properly with the design on the other side. In most cases, both sides of a coin should be perfectly aligned when flipped vertically or horizontally depending on whether they were struck in coin or metal alignment. However, a rotated die error occurs when the dies that are being used to strike the coin are misaligned, which results in one side being rotated in relation to the other. Now, there are two main types of rotated die errors. The first is stable rotation. This happens when one of the dies was installed incorrectly and remains in that position for the production of multiple coins. Each of these coins will have the same degree of rotation. There is also dynamic rotation. This occurs when the dies being used to strike the coins become loose during the production process, causing it to gradually rotate with each strike. As a result, the degree of rotation can vary across the coins from the same production batch. The two different rotated die errors on the 1967 Goose dollars would be considered stable rotation, and that is because these Goose dollars can only be attributed with these errors if they come with the fixed rotations of either 45 degrees or 180 degrees. That's not saying if you find one and it does have a slight rotation that you may be able to get a slight premium, but usually people want to see the fixed rotations of either 45 degrees or 180 degrees on the 1967 dollars. To measure the rotation of a coin, you need to compare the alignment of the designs on both sides. One of the easiest ways that I suggest to be able to detect a rotated die error is to get some cardboard coin flips or maybe buy some cheap coin slabs, put your coin inside and then look at one side and then flip it over to the other side, and if the other face of the coin is not aligned in the right direction, then you have yourself one of these rotated die errors. The most well-known error on the 1967 silver Goose dollars is the diving goose error, where the image of the goose is rotated 45 degrees, giving the impression that the goose is diving down towards the left. While the 45-degree rotation is more notable, the most valuable version of this error is actually the 180-degree or coin alignment error, where the designs on both sides are completely upside down relative to each other. High-grade examples of this 180-degree error can be worth tens of thousands of dollars, making it highly sought after by experienced collectors. The value of these rotated die errors depends on several factors, including the degree of rotation, the coin's condition, and how rare that specific error is. Another rare and highly sought after version of the 1967 Canadian silver Goose dollar is the double struck error coin. This error occurs when the coin is struck twice by the dies, leaving a second misaligned impression on both the obverse and the reverse. In the case of the 1967 double struck dollar, the second strike is rotated about 10 to 15 degrees from the original impression, which creates a noticeable double image of both the queen and the goose. Double struck coins are the result of a malfunction in the minting process, where the coin is struck more than once by the dies. In a typical minting process, a blank coin or planchette is placed between the two dies, one for the obverse and one for the reverse, and is struck with immense pressure to create the design. Once struck, the coin is supposed to be ejected from the press and moved along the production line. However, in the case of a double strike, the coin remains in the press after the initial strike and is actually struck again. Now, there are a few reasons that double struck coins can be produced in a minting facility. Ejection mechanism failure. The most common cause is a failure in the mechanism that ejects the coin after the first strike. If the coin doesn't move properly, the press may strike it again, leaving a second impression. Die misalignment. In the case of a double struck error like the 1967 Goose dollar, the second strike is misaligned by about 10 to 15 degrees. This means that the coin shifted slightly in position between strikes, causing the two impressions to overlap but not perfectly align. Human error. Occasionally, an operator may unknowingly leave a planchette in the press, causing a double strike. In older minting processes, this could be more common due to manual intervention. Now, some of the visual characteristics for the 1967 double struck Goose dollar. On the reverse side of the coin, the most obvious sign of the error is the ghosted or doubled image of the Canada Goose. Since the second strike is rotated slightly, it creates a double goose image where the wings, body, and neck appear shifted from the first strike. Also, on the obverse, the queen's portrait appears doubled, with visible outlines of her head, crown, and facial features from both strikes overlapping. Double struck coins, especially those with visible and significant rotation between strikes, are highly prized by collectors. The rarity and degree of misalignment play a major role in determining their value. In the case of the 1967 double-struck Goose dollar, the combination of a unique design and an unusual minting error make these coins a standout piece in Canadian numismatic history. Now, before we get into the values for these different 1967 Goose dollar errors, some of the details and specifications of any of these are off and may indicate it is not a legitimate or authentic example. The overall mintage for the 1967 Goose dollar is 6,767,496, and all of the 3 different errors that you can look for are included in that mintage figure. They are composed of 80% silver, 20% copper. They have a weight of 23.33 grams, a diameter of 36.00 millimeters, and a thickness of 2.84 millimeters. The obverse was designed and engraved by Arnold Mockin and Walter Ott, and the reverse by Alex Colville and Myron Cook. The edge of the coin is reeded and it has a diaxis and metal alignment, as is the standard for most Canadian, British, and Australian coins. Now, just to give you guys an idea and a base price, I will start off with the regular 1967 Goose dollar. It can be worth around $25 for an MS-60 and all the way up to $500 for an MS-66, but it is very rare that you are going to find these in that high of a grade. Usually when you're buying these in scrap condition, honestly, you're going to pay anywhere from $20 to $25. If you're lucky, you might be able to get them for a few dollars cheaper. So if you do find one and it's in an MS-60, or if you can buy one for $25 for an MS-60, you're probably getting a pretty good deal. Now, the first of the different varieties that we will discuss is actually the most rare and valuable, and that is the 1967 in coin alignment, meaning that the goose design on the reverse and the portrait of Queen Elizabeth will be rotated 180 degrees in relation to the reverse side. If you can find one of these in the coin alignment, it is the rarest and most valuable of all the 1967 Goose dollar varieties. It can be worth around $5,000 for an MS-60 and all the way up to $17,500 for an MS-66. If you did find one and it scored the epic MS-67 mark, you could easily be talking a $25,000, $30,000 coin. Next up, we'll discuss the most notable of the different 1967 errors, and that is the diving Goose dollar. Now, to identify the 1967 diving Goose dollar, you want to look at the reverse of the coin and take a look at the goose, and then you want to flip over to the obverse. And if it looks like the goose design on the reverse and then the portrait of the queen on the obverse are rotated 45 degrees in relation to each other, that means that the goose on the reverse will also be diving down towards the bottom left with its beak pointing down in that direction. Then you have the diving goose variety. It can be worth around $800 for an MS-60 and all the way up to $2,100 for an MS-65. If it did grade any higher, you could see a decent price jump. You could easily be talking a $3,000 to $5,000 coin, and that is for the Diving Goose 1967 silver dollar. Now, last but not least, we are going to discuss the double struck 1967. Now, to identify this, it should be pretty simple. It will basically look like the coin was struck twice. There should be 2 impressions, and they will be slightly rotated on both the obverse and reverse. I will leave an example of exactly what it looks like on the screen right now. But if you can identify the double struck example of the 1967 Goose dollar, it can be worth around $1,000 for an MS-60, and all the way up to $2,700 for an MS-66. So actually a little bit more rare and valuable than the Diving Goose dollar. It's flown under the radar a little bit, no pun intended. The Diving Goose dollar is definitely the most notable of these errors, and you probably have the best chance of being able to find one of those, but you should definitely keep your eyes open because you never know what you can find if you are searching through your coin collection, your pocket change, or maybe you make a scrap silver purchase. So what do you guys think about the 1967 silver Goose dollar errors? What would you do if you ever found one, or if you ever have found any of the coins that I discussed in this video? Please let me know down in the comments, I would love to know. Speaking of hidden gems, if you're a fan of uncovering rare finds, make sure to check out my other channel, North Central Builds, where I open and build some of the coolest and most budget-friendly LEGO sets from over the years. Then head on over to my other channel and give it a little look-see. I think you will love it. Also, I would really appreciate if you guys would smash that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and also ring that bell notification so you can stay up to date. But I think that is pretty much going to do it for this one, folks. So until the next one, everybody, peace out and have a good one, y'all.